With summer in full swing, I feel that familiar urge to refresh my closet, but I'm not trying to waste money on pieces that I'm going to wear once or for just one season, and that's where Quince comes in. Their clothes are timeless, feel luxurious, look elevated, and the quality is way beyond what you'd expect for the price. I just got a white linen maxi dress. Now, if I had paid for that dress in a department store, I would have paid $170. Well, guess what? I got it for $69. And by the way, that same dress comes in blue pinstripe. Think 100% European linen top starting at $30. Washable silk dresses and skirts and soft cotton sweaters. Versatile warm weather pieces that you're going to reach for again and again. And the best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury without the markup. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. So you've got to give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/Kate Casey for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Kate Casey to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Kate Casey.
You know that person in your life who just can't stand mayo? Call them traumatized. Call them closed-minded. We get it. They're stuck in their ways. But here's the thing. They just haven't tried Hellmann's flavored mayo. We're talking bold flavors that will flip even the biggest skeptics. Spicy mayo that adds the perfect kick to your burger. Garlic aioli that transforms ordinary fries into something extraordinary. Chipotle mayo that turns your basic wrap into a smoky sensation. So to all the mayo haters out there, yes, we're looking at you. It's time to eat your words. Because with mayo this flavorful, any hater is just a mayo lover waiting to be convinced. Hellmann's flavored mayo. Get ready to eat your words.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey, and welcome back for this special Saturday series episode. It began in the dark, early hours of July 4th, before the hint of sunrise. At Camp La Junta, nestled in the hill country along the banks of the Guadalupe River, most campers were still fast asleep in their bunks. Then, without warning, the skies opened. Torrential rain poured down in sheets, and within minutes, the calm river transformed into a violent force of nature. The water rose with astonishing speed, nearly 26 feet in less than an hour, crashing through cabins, tearing apart bridges, and swallowing campsites whole. Entire structures were ripped from their foundations. Flashlights flickered as counselors scrambled to wake children, shouting over the roar of the floodwaters. Trees cracked and snapped, screams were drowned by the rush of water. And when the sun finally rose, the devastation was almost too vast to comprehend. As of now, more than 120 lives have been confirmed lost, with over 160 people still unaccounted for throughout Central Texas. Among the missing are young campers, their counselors, and families caught in the flood's path, marking one of the deadliest natural disasters in Texas history. Just upriver, Camp Mystic, an iconic all-girls summer camp with roots dating back over a century, also suffered devastating losses. For generations, it's been a cherished Texas tradition, where young women built friendships, memories, and a deep connection to nature. But this summer, that legacy was shattered. The floodwaters tore through the campgrounds with brutal force, claiming the lives of the camp director, several counselors, and multiple young girls. What was once a sanctuary of sisterhood and summer joy became the site of unimaginable heartbreak. In this episode, I speak with my friend Stacy Connor, a veteran casting director in the world of reality television, who spent summers as a girl at Camp Mystic. She reflects on the camp's legacy, the powerful bond it created among its campers, and the emotional weight of watching tragedy unfold in a place so deeply tied to memory and identity. And I also speak with Keli Rabon and her son, Braeden Davis. 9-year-old Braeden and his 7-year-old brother Brock were at Camp La Junta the night the flood hit. Braeden shares where he experienced that terrifying night, how he worried about his younger brother, the sounds, the chaos, and the moments that will stay with him forever. Here are my interviews. Stacy, I love seeing you. By the way,
good to see you, Kenneth.
How many times do I send you a note and ask you, did you cast this show?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit.
I think about it all the time. Like, how many shows are you casting at one time?
I mean, usually I'm only working on one show at a time because it's a lot. Like I can't double dip, as they call it in the business, unless I'm working for a company and they have me switching in between shows, which sometimes happens with certain casting companies. But usually it's just one show at a time that I'm working on.
How much time does it take to look into just like one person? I mean, this job must be so consuming.
It is. It's a very time consuming job. I mean, and I switched over to being a casting editor. So I edit the Zoom interviews that then get shown. So I make them down to basically like a sizzle reel of the person that then gets shown to the producers and to the studio or network or streamer. And sometimes they get shown onto the show, depending on how production decides to do things. But for every person, there are hours, like at least I would say like 72 hours spent on a person. So like when people are giving pushback of like casting should have known this, it's like, do you know how much energy and time and money goes into like each single person? And if something is not in a background check, depends on how much that company wants to spend on a background check and how far they want to go into things. Like casting is just one part of it. Like and the budgets for casting are getting smaller and smaller. So you want to bitch and complain about casting? Go talk to a production company or a network or streamer, is my opinion. Tell them to give casting more money and more time.
And so you're originally from Texas. So how did you make your way into the entertainment industry and all the way out here?
I was born and raised in Texas, and I got involved in theater when I was really young, Casa Manana Playhouse in Fort Worth. And so I always loved acting and performing. And then I came out to LA to go to USC, and I was a theater student and got my degree in theater. And I stayed out here to try to make it as an actor. And, you know, I don't ever give up on the dream completely, but you got to pay your bills and you get older and you can't stay a server or a bartender. So I got into casting and I actually enjoy it. And being an editor, I enjoy it because it fills that creativity. I'm still creating the story. I'm taking this person's life and I'm saying, how do we tell the story of this person the best way? So I enjoy that.
And you're a highly observant person. And I think that's a must-have if you're an actor as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that and timing. You also have to know timing pretty well too. So yeah.
So tell me about how your family came to know Camp Mystic and how you became a camper.
So I have an older cousin. Her name is Nancy, and she's about 4 years older than me. And she was going to Camp Mystic. How she started going to Camp Mystic, I honestly don't know. So probably through girls she went to school with. She's from my mother's hometown of Ennis, but also went to school up in Dallas. So it was one of those things where my older, and I like looked up to my older cousin, Nancy, and I didn't get to spend that much time with her. Like usually we saw each other at holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe Easter or something like that. So when I was 9 years old. It was 1987 was my first year at Camp Mystic. And it was nice because I got to spend 4 weeks kind of like with my cousin, like closer to my cousin and seeing my cousin more along with like all these other girls. And it was, and I did that off and on for the next 10 years.
Wow.
So yeah. And it was really special. Like, I feel like, God, I'm going to cry now. That was at least family-wise, it was a way for my cousin and I to build a stronger bond together.
I think for people in other parts of the country, the idea of summer camp is so different. I mean, most kids in the area in which I live, for example, you just go down the street to like a soccer camp. But in Texas, it seems like it is such a part of culture there to spend weeks at a summer camp.
It really is. And I didn't realize that until I moved out of Texas, how much like camp culture is very like ingrained in Texas culture too. It's definitely because like there was many years ago, they tried to make Texas like year-round school. And there was a big push to be like, no, it was this whole like save our summers thing because like the camps are really big and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of camps and there's some camps are more like soccer camps or day camps and stuff like that. I mean, my first camp I ever went to was like a YMCA camp. It was Camp Carter. It wasn't far away from Fort Worth. And, and I also went to like church camp, you know what I mean? So like but then there's like these more, and there's sports camps, but then there's these other type of camps. And like you spend 4 weeks with your cabin mates, with all these girls, you clean the cabin every day. Like you go to activities, you clean up, like you do all these things together. So
the relationships that you made in summer camp, did you carry them on after, like as you grew into adulthood?
Some of them I haven't kept as close in touch with, in all honesty. Granted, part of that's because I moved away, because I left Texas, because a lot of like some of the girls, they stay in Texas or they move back to Texas after college. So I did not, I also kind of had like a smaller group of friends. I was a nerd. Like I was a dork. even I was that way in school and I was still kind of that way even at camp. But at camp, I felt a lot more free to be myself, and didn't care. And I felt like part of that was also because it was an all girls environment. And I think that really is just like really wonderful because there's just a freedom when you're with just only girls. And I think there's a cattiness at times, but I feel like because there aren't any boys around, it takes away a level. Like, why would you need to be catty about that? There aren't any boys to impress. Like, there's none of that crap. So yeah. Also, like I lost contact with some people when I went off of Facebook back in 2016. So
that would contribute for sure.
Yeah.
When you look back at the time that you spent there, what do you think made the biggest difference for you?
I don't know if I would have had as easy a time moving so far away from my family and staying far away from my family if I wasn't used to going away for a month at a time every summer. Like I learned independence. I learned people aren't going to pick up after you if you don't pick up after yourself. Like that, I felt like I had a lot more independence. Also a bit more of like, you can't run from the people you have problems from because you're there. Also how to deal with boredom because there are no televisions. I mean, we didn't have cell phones back then because I was going between 87 and 97. And in 97, I was a camp counselor. But, you read books. Like you read so many books. You wrote letters. I was a bad letter writer. I didn't write many letters back to my family or anything like that. But like that was the thing is that you learned how to deal with boredom. You learned how to take advantage, like time management too. Like you had to get from your first period activity to your second period activity. You had to you were in charge of things. You were in charge of yourself a lot of the time. There wasn't somebody there holding your hand. People would hold your hand emotionally to make sure that you were okay, but they weren't going to necessarily hold your hand to be like, okay, well, this is what we do now. Like, let's make sure that you're getting there. Like, no, you learned how to be an independent woman there. Yeah.
Did you stay in the Bubble Inn at any point?
No, I was not in Bubble Inn. I was in Twins 2 was my first one. There are girls from Twins 2 who have there's Bubble Inn has gotten a lot of, and not that it shouldn't, because it looks like most of the girls from Bubble Inn are gone, including the counselors. There's girls from Twins, and there's a girl from Look It, and that was a cabin that I had been in as well. I've been in several of those cabins on the what they call the flats. So you had the flats, and then you had Senior Hill. That was what is truly horrifying, Kate, that the water got up that high, like to see because almost like pictures don't do it justice, like because like you would go and the way that the dining hall was so high up, was built so high up from where basically the quad level was, like where the swimming level, like you'd go down to swim, like how high it was. And just when I was just like, are you serious that it's like Bubble Inn girls, that it's Twins girls? I was like, because I immediately thought it was like, it's probably bug house and look in, because those are the furthest ones down, and it kind of slopes down a little bit. And that's when you get closer. I mean, I remember when I was in Look-In, which would have been 1990, waking up one morning after like a particularly hard rain, and the Guad, and we called it the Guad. You just called it the Guad. The Guad was pretty swollen. It was pretty big. And we all kind of like walked down like closer to it to take a look. And because I was like 11 or 12. And Dick Eastland, just like a bat out of hell, just came down there, yelled. I've never had this man raise his voice or anything. He yelled at us to get away so fast. So I'll say this, like, that man knew how dangerous that water was. And so I'm not saying that there weren't failures at the camp, but I think the failures were mainly in alerting the camps and alerting the people too. Just, these RV camps, the people who live and hunt and in Ingram, like, it's like, and a lot of people are like, these kids didn't have cell phones on them. Last time I was there in 2014 for an alumni reunion, I had my cell phone. I couldn't get reception. Like, it's the hill country. Like, you drive through Laurel Canyon and you can't get cell phone reception. This is not about, also, like, how many times do you have parents being like, I just want my kid off their phone. Like, let's talk at the dinner table. Like, that's what camp is about. Like, there are no phones. Like this is this. So you rely on a PA system. You rely on talking to each other and stuff and all of that. And so I think saying, like, looking at like kids not having cell phones is the wrong thing, because that's not it at all.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. No matter how hot your summer gets, Liquid IV can help keep you hydrated for the adventures ahead. This summer, I'm traveling with my son Jack for lacrosse tournaments. Hot, blazing, sunny afternoons. There is nothing that tastes as good and keeps you as hydrated as Liquid IV. I just tear, pour, and enjoy. And I'm calling out to all of you parents who will also be watching your athletes this summer. This is a game changer. The sugar-free options include white peach, lemon lime, rainbow sherbet, and the new Arctic raspberry. But they've also got cotton candy or popsicle firecracker. Just 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, and always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. Squeeze the most out of your summer with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code Kate Casey at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code Kate Casey at liquidiv.com. Summer is my favorite time of the year. Nothing is better than a backyard party. Do you love having people over to enjoy the warm weather in your outdoor space? Do you need ways to entertain the kids while they're out of school? Well, if you're having a backyard get-together, Wayfair is your one-stop shop for outdoor entertaining. Cookout, shop patio tables, grills, and dishware. Pool party, kick back with lounge chairs, day beds, and umbrellas. Game night, Wayfair's got cornhole, croquet, and string lights to set the scene. And with fast and easy shipping, it's never been easier to get ready to party. So however you kick back, you can go to Wayfair for effortless entertaining and game-filled gatherings. I live in a neighborhood with houses that look like Cape Cod, which is where I spent time as a child. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And with Wayfair, I can decorate my entire house and my backyard with the most beautiful white furniture that takes me back to Chatham. There's something for every style and every home, no matter your space or budget. And the best part, free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. I can't even tell you, I feel like I ordered it and came right away. Shop outdoor furniture, grills, lawn games, and way more for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to explore a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. What can you tell us about Dick?
He was just like he was like everybody's dad. Him and Tweety were like everybody's mom and dad there. When my first year, their sons are all around like my age and younger. Their oldest son, Richard, is I think a year older than me. And then it goes down from there. And Edward was like a toddler when my first year. So it was, they were just like mom and dad. and very hands-on. These weren't people who like lived up in the big house and just like oversaw everything. And also they were taking over from when I was going there, especially my first few years, they were taking over from the previous owners and directors, Ine and Frank Harrison. And so I was kind of going at this interesting time of like transition, because they keep calling it a Christian camp. And I guess it is, but like when I was going there, I didn't feel like it was a Christian camp, if that makes sense. Like it was just more of like a girls' camp, yes, with like you grew up in Texas and you would just always go to church on Sundays and stuff like that. But like there were people of non-Christian faith who were going there as well, too. But there was, I feel like, a transition as Dick and Tweety, as Frank and Ine gave more of it to them and then passed away subsequently, that it became more like, faith-based a little bit more. But still, it wasn't necessarily, at least when I was there, the overwhelming thing of like that.
What's the one thing you would love people to know about Camp Mystic?
It was so special. Like if you can think of like those little special times that you spent with your friends, like building forts or tree houses and like, or sleepovers, like that you had like these core group of friends and you like made something out of nothing, like, and use your imagination, or just like spent these core times together, like those summers that like you just, played in the pool all summer with a core group of friends. Like that's kind of that feeling, but you got it for 4 weeks, and you got to do it with girls your age, girls who were younger and who looked up to you. You got to be a leader for them, and you got to look up to older girls and got to see like, this is maybe the woman I want to be. Like, I want to be like these people and stuff. And I went to a get together Wednesday night of LA Mystic girls. And I didn't know, like, it was like, actually, I will say this, Casey Rose Wilson from Bitch Sesh, she had reposted a story about like, hey, any Mystic girls in LA want to come? And my friend sent it to me, was like, hey.
Oh, she went there as well?
No, I guess she was just reposting, just in case any LA girls. So, I mean, not that I know of, because Casey was not there. But so I went to this, and it was really just amazing that we had like 30 plus women who had gone to Camp Mystic at various times, and some overlapped with me. Like some of them I was like that I realized like we went at the same time, and so, and they knew my cousin, and like others that I didn't know. But it was just like we all have like these, it's like being a part of a sorority, or it's like being part of a graduating class. You know what I mean? It's that type of feeling. And like,
I'm so glad that you guys were led back to each other.
Yeah. And like, it's really nice. And some of these women, they have daughters now who go there too, and they're also dealing with that aftermath with their daughters. And I have a sorority sister who's from LA, married a guy from Dallas, and they live in Dallas now, and her daughter goes there. And I had to make sure that her daughter was okay, because I was just like, I devastated. Like, and it's just we make our family. Like we're born with our family, but throughout life, we continue to make a family too, of different groups of people. And so I think that's like what, even though I haven't stayed in touch with a lot of Mystic girls, like you're always family. So you just always know, like you've got that like shorthand with somebody. So,
and it's family when you haven't seen each other for even decades, and you pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
Well, I think that everyone really in the whole world, the entire world, is holding you all in our hearts, because I can only imagine how painful this last week has been for you. And I think by sharing with us your story, you give us a window into this extraordinary experience that you all got.
Thank you. Yeah. I think Camp Mystic and the hill country of Texas is just like a really beautiful, special place. And like all the people, I think I've lived in LA for so long. I sometimes forget those things, but it's just another way to like, and and I live in LA where the LA fires, and I was impacted by those, and we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what state we live in, our political beliefs. When it comes to these weather events, we are all in this together, and I think, the love that LA was shown earlier this year and the love that Texas is being shown is great. And I just hope that like we can just, the overwhelming thing is that like, I just hope something's done about these things and that it's not that a tragedy happens and then nothing is ever done to help mitigate that from ever happening again.
I do too. Braeden and Keli, I'm so happy to see you. I'm thrilled that you're with me today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
So tell everybody, Braeden, how we first met.
I did this Milton Hershey play, Who Was thing at my school, and my mom got it on video and posted it on Instagram. And then you reached out to my mom and then sent a video, and it was a nice video. And history
began. So I'm glad you did a project on him, and that video was really special. I'm so glad that I saw it. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to meet you all that time ago, because now your story has kind of touched the rest of the world. And to think that you were that little boy on a stage, and I knew then that you had such poise and you exhibited such leadership in that moment. And I think that this has really been a big moment for you too. Maybe if you could begin by telling us about how old you are and what grade you were in, and this summer, what your plans were.
So I am 9 years old. I am going to the 4th grade. And what I was looking to do this summer was, go to camp for a whole month, which is a long time. I also planned on watching the new Jurassic World movie because I was begging my parents. But I didn't really know any other plans for the summer. All I was looking forward to was staying at camp, really.
Now tell us a little bit about camp, because for a lot of kids across the country, they don't necessarily they'll do like sports camps, but they may not be familiar with some of these summer camps. So tell me about your camp.
My camp's name's Camp La Junta. It's a all-boys camp in Hunt, Texas. And, it's been around since it was founded in 1928.
Wow.
And it's gone through, World War II, Vietnam War, and, a flood in 1987, I'm pretty sure, down there or up there. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to say it. But just a couple, last week, it experienced a terrible flood.
When you pull up to the camp and you've got your trunk all ready to go, what are the kinds of things that one can anticipate doing once they get to camp? Like, what is the experience like for a boy like yourself?
For me, if you're asking how I really like the camp, then I just like it because it's very competitive, and there's two ranch teams. And we play ranch games and everything, and it gets really competitive, and I just like competitive things. And part that I really love about camp is the river. I mean, it's like the base of the camp, if you really think about it.
And what kind of stuff will you do? Kind of games? Are you doing all water sports, field sports too?
Field sports, court sports. There's riflery, archery, horseback riding.
Wow.
There's a lot of stuff.
And what is the age of the boys that are in camp with you? And how many kids are in your cabin?
It depends if your cabin has a lot of campers or not a lot of campers. Some cabins don't have a lot of campers, but mine had at least like 13-ish campers. And they're probably all around the age of 9 and 10.
For you, going from home to this cabin, what was that like to meet kids from different places?
Well, there's kids from all over Texas. And there were in my cabin, there was even a kid all the way from Arkansas.
Oh, fun. And what do you think? What was the most surprising thing that you learned about another camper in the process of staying there?
Well, I noticed one of the campers from Houston was on my past football team, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. I know that you wouldn't want to pick a favorite because it would be hard, but is there one counselor in particular that you just really love so much?
I have it in mind, but I don't know if I want to say it.
Yeah, I want to keep it in your heart. I get it. So, Keli, tell me a little bit about the excitement of these kind of camps and what it must feel like when you drop off.
So there is so much buildup and pride that is associated with these camps. Like for probably 3 months in advance, we have a Camp La Junta sign, and actually 2 of them, one for Braeden and one for Brock, in my front yard. And so everyone knows, walking or driving through the neighborhood, that Camp La Junta boys live here. And yeah, I mean, I can equate that level of pride to the way that someone might have for their alma mater. I mean, honestly, the way that you have about being from Hershey, it's an immense level of pride. And I remember the very first year that Braeden went to Camp La Junta, and he stayed for his 2 weeks. But the amount of change that I saw between dropping him off and picking him up was immense. I felt like suddenly I had a little man in my life. And I was so excited, for one, to see that level of change even amplified this year with him staying for a month, which, trust me, as a mama bear, I was nervous about a whole month without being able to even have a phone call with my child. But you trust the process. But I was especially excited to see the impact that it would have on Brock, my youngest, who just turned 7, just graduated kindergarten, because they do develop such this level of confidence. And I remember Braeden walked different. He talked different. It was just such an amazing transformation. And to think that, they think about their camp and what activities they're going to do in anticipation all year long. It's a beautiful thing. It's like, I can't fully understand what they do there. I know that I loved the summer camps that I went to, but whatever secret is in their sauce there, it's amazing.
I also feel like so many of my friends who have children that go to summer camps and the Jewish camps, sports camps, etc., the relationships that you build, some of those carry well into adulthood.
They do. Yeah. I mean, and I still talk to some kids there were 2 main camps that I went to as a child, summer camps, kind of similar to La Junta. It was Slumber Falls and Hermanson's camp. But all that to say that, decades later, to be able to still keep in touch with people who you met and you spent a handful of weeks with here and there, it truly is a special bond.
Everyone knows that feeling, wanting to experience more stories, but struggling to find the time. That's where Audible changes everything. With over 1 million audiobooks and Audible originals, there's a story waiting to spark anyone's imagination. Take The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, the gripping psychological thriller that's keeping listeners on the edge of their seats. Imagine unraveling its mysteries during your morning commute, or losing yourself in its twists and turns while doing household chores. That's the magic of Audible. It transforms daily routines into opportunities for thrilling discoveries. The best part? Members get access to thousands of included titles, with new content added regularly. From bestsellers to hidden gems, every genre imaginable is at their fingertips. And with one easy-to-use app, switching between favorites or discovering new passions has never been simpler. There's more to imagine when you listen. Start a free 30-day Audible trial and get your first audiobook free at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Wait, you're not a Hotels.com member? So you're choosing to pay full price. Did you not hear the song?
How could you not be a member and save up to 20%? That's less than 50%, but it's more than 0%. You're welcome.
See? The math is mathing. Save up to 20% on hundreds of thousands of hotels with Hotels.com.
So the day of the flood, how far were you into your summer camp stay when that happened?
1 day.
Just 1 day. So you were dropped off the day before. Wow. Would you be okay with just walking me through what that day was like for you?
Sure, I've done it a billion times with news reporters. Why not you?
And may I say how brave of you for doing so? Because you know what you're doing you're really helping us kind of paint the picture. So if other people across the country or the world are trying to understand the story better, you're essentially allowing us to place ourselves there and see it clearly, which is really helpful for people to understand. So you're making it so much easier for us to have a better understanding of all the people that were there and what happened. It's very, very helpful.
I wake up around 4 a.m, hearing kids screaming from outside. I'm like, is this a prank or is something happening? I look out my window, I see rain and hear loud thunder and see lightning all over the place. I'm like, it's probably just a thunderstorm and kids are just out there. But around 6 a.m, I see at least 75 campers walking in this back lane behind my cabin. And I'm like, now I know something's going on, because about 30 minutes before that, all of my counselors' phones had a weather alert on their phone, and I was like, okay, yeah, something's wrong. Other campers came into our cabin because their cabin had flooded, and they told the other campers told me that when they were walking around, they saw that one of the cabin's walls had fallen over. And they said it was the cabin right next to my little brother's, which was cabin 5. He was in cabin 6. So my little brother was in one of 3 cabins that got flooded the worst. And of course, other cabins flooded, but he was specifically in one of those cabins that flooded bad. And they said that their cabin flooded a lot. And I'll let Mom ask Dad to send you a picture. But there was a picture of one of the counselors trying to balance on a trunk. And it was kind of funny because he was posing and all the kids were on the rafters. It was funny, but not funny.
Yeah.
They said if the water rose 2 more feet, then, well,
they wouldn't have had anywhere else to go.
They wouldn't have had anywhere else to go.
Now, is the cabin on a hill? Are you kind of situated on a hill, or is it in a flat area?
I was on a more elevated cabin, in a more elevated cabin, but my little brother was in one of the cabins closer to the river on more flat land. So when the water rose, how much? 36 feet?
26. Somewhere nearly 30 feet.
30
in 45 minutes.
30 feet in 45 minutes. So imagine the river basically rushing in your cabin almost. I mean, his door flew away. As I said, when the walls fell over, the windows were breaking.
And was that when they were inside the cabin?
Yes. Were they inside?
Yes, they were inside the cabin.
And meanwhile, where was in the cabin?
He was on the rafters, all the way in the rafters of the cabin.
How were they able to get up into the rafters?
The water got to about 1 foot or 2 feet. The counselors helped them up to the top bunk and then helped them up to the rafters. But really, the counselors were on, like, trying to balance on the beds and trunks because the bunk beds were tipping over. And yeah, so like I said, we're going on Saturday back to Hunt to see if we can retrieve any of our stuff, see if we can find anything.
So Keli, the age of these counselors with this predicament, they're in this most stressful situation and they're getting the boys to go into the rafters. How old are they?
We're talking like high school graduates.
I mean, in my mind, they're still kids themselves. So late teens, maybe early 20s, but I'm still trying to track down the parents of the counselors, first of all, so I can thank them, for saving my boys' lives, but also just so I can get a better understanding of what happened. But it's my understanding that they're, high school graduates, Braeden?
It's quite incredible to think about a young man having to be put into that situation and how they rose to the occasion.
I can't even fathom, how you really train for a scenario like that. You can read a book or read a pamphlet or listen to the camp director or, someone train you for a small period of time about, okay, if this happens, this is what you should do, get to higher ground. But I don't think there's anything that could possibly prepare you as a counselor for that moment. And especially as, such a young person, but they did a heroic job. When I saw this picture, which I'll share with you, Kate, you see these little boys in the rafters and you see the water very high and you see the bunk beds flipped over, everything in disarray. I got that last night and that's when I really lost it. I think I've had tunnel vision and mission focused through this whole thing, but that's when it became real to me on a whole different level.
How long were they in the rafters for?
Brock doesn't remember. And thank God for the brain that, our instincts in our brain that doesn't hold trauma all in one big ball. It separates it into little pieces because sometimes it would, in many cases, it would be too much for us to handle if we remembered every single detail. But I believe that it could have been a lengthy period of time. Because you can even see also in the photo, in the background, the water line and how it had actually been higher than when this photo was taken. And so for the water to come down even, they must have been up there for hours, I would assume.
At what point, Braeden, were you and your brother rescued?
Well, we actually we did an evacuation where a trailer took us to evacuation buses. And we drove to a church in Kerrville. And so there we reunited with my dad. And then my mom was still about 30 minutes away. So we went to a restaurant. Well, we actually went to a Walmart to go buy my little brother's shoes. And then because he had no shoes, he only had shorts and underwear.
Mm-hmm.
I feel ashamed to say that, but I don't know why. But eventually we saw our mom at this restaurant and we finally reunited with our mom.
So that was about 8 p.m. when we were able to connect, and the floods, as far as the boys know, this all started at around 4 a.m. So that made for a really
started at 2 a.m.
Or even 2 a.m.
I slept through it.
You slept through some of
hours.
it. So it was, to say it was a full day event and ordeal, quite literally.
Have you been able to see any of the other campers and give them big hugs? Maybe you'll be able to do that on Saturday.
Yep, that's what we're hoping for this weekend. Between the retrieval, we believe that we'll be able to retrieve Braeden's stuff. It's our understanding that for at least 3 of the cabins, if not more. But yeah, that the stuff was.
So we need to check my cabin, Brock's cabin,
and another person,
and cabin 14 to find, or hopefully find.
Yep. So we'll do our best we can to spot the stuff for anyone who we know, and then the parents are also working on a special meetup for at least the Houston area campers, so that way they can have a chance to just be boys for the day and celebrate, all that Camp La Junta means to them for a couple of hours.
Braeden, I hope you know that the entire world is sending all of you boys and all the families of everyone involved in that flood. So much love and support. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
2 of my 5 kids are in the same exact grade that you and your brother are in. And I know that they are really impressed with both of you and your strength, your kindness, your generosity. I know that you spend a lot of time thinking about other people and how you can help them. And I think that's a tremendous lesson for the rest of the kids of the world who hear this story and to see you speak. Do you think that there'll be a time where you can see yourself leading a group of young boys just like those counselors led you?
I'm going to try to go to that camp as long as I can.
Yeah. What's the one thing that you are most looking forward to?
Hopefully retrieving my stuff, other people's stuff that we have been in contact with or know, and really try to help clean it up.
Yeah. Keli, what is something that you would love for the rest of the world to know about the families that have been touched by this?
Even once this inevitably falls out of the news cycle, please know that it's not gone from our heads and our hearts. This is going to be a long, long, long road to recovery. And that recovery involves many different shades. So doing something as simple as continuing to let these people know that you're thinking about them. I think sometimes when people say, is there something I can do? It's meant with the best of intentions, but that puts the onus on the person who you're asking. And so instead, just doing something, and that includes checking in, but just doing something. So that way, that's not one more stressor that's subtly put on that person's shoulders.
That's a great reminder. And how thus far can families help? In physical items, in financial donations? What can people do?
So my understanding is that Kerrville, Hunt, the surrounding community, Kerr County has been overwhelmed with the generosity of people from all over with physical items, but they're literally running out of space to even store those. So there could be a time later on where there's a second wave where they need some of those physical items. But what I'm told at this point is please no more physical donations. They need monetary donations. At the end of the day, to use the phrase, cash is king. And the primary entity and organization that is 100% vetted and approved by Kerr County is this Kerr County Community Foundation. And the website escapes me off the top of my head, but if you look up Kerr County Community Foundation, it's there. And so I think that, those funds will go a long way. As a former journalist myself, I always feel leery about, making monetary donations, but this is the go-to and approved organization that I know for sure is helping people.
And will the camp rebuild?
Hopefully.
I fully believe that they will. Yeah. Things might look a slight bit different, but
it's going to look new and improved.
That's what we hope.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my wonderful guests, and I want to remind you to make sure that you click subscribe to this podcast so you can listen to more Saturday series episodes and throughout the rest of the week. You can find my Facebook group by going to the search button and putting in Reality Life with Kate Casey. I hope that you join. You can get my What to Watch list of what to watch in unscripted TV every week by going to katecasey.substack.com. Bonus episodes on Patreon and on Apple Podcasts. And make sure that you follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KKCCA, TikTok it's KKC, and Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at @KKC.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. The brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that?
For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just go to getcopperhead.com. That's getcopperhead.com for your 2 free gifts with purchase. Getcopperhead.com.